Foldable smartphones, especially during their infancy, were so ugly. Like, ugh. Oftentimes, they came with thick bezels, large frames, and all of them were plagued by the seamlessly hideous crease. Jump forward to today and we're seeing more and more foldable phones with a refined look. An example would be the newly launched OPPO Find N5. This is probably one of, if not, the best looking foldable smartphone we've seen in recent memory. It's got those sleek bezels and curves, as well as a slim profile that's even thinner than, say, a pencil. And the crease? Well, it's visually less obvious now in this iteration. But aside from these nice improvements, what else does the OPPO N5 have in store? Hi guys, it's CJ here of Yugatech, and here's our review of the newest foldable from OPPO, the Find N5. So without further ado, let's jump right into this video. Taking a look at the Find N5's appearance, it sure has the design cues of an OPPO flagship. It features a glass back with subtle marble-like patterns all over the back panel. The circular camera island is prominently displayed here, which houses 3 cameras, and you can also see the Hasselblad logo at the middle. Our review unit is in this misty white colorway, where the extra space is needed for its folding display mechanism. It follows a certain roundness on the corners, and the same goes to the front display. That really gives it an illusion that you're holding a normal slab phone. We also like how light the N5 is, weighing only 229 grams. This makes it more convincing as a foldable in disguise. Plus, there's also no gap in between the hinge where you fold the device. Now, the Find N5 is apparently the newest title holder for the world's thinnest book-type foldable. Book-type. It measures 8.95 millimeters in its folded state, and when you unfold it open, the frame goes extremely thin at 4.21 millimeters, excluding the camera bump. Speaking of the phone frame, it's made of aluminum, which has a nice feel, while the hinge is made of titanium alloy. I have to say, I personally prefer the hinge to be free of any text or branding, and the Find N5 does exactly that. For iOS in its unfolded state, the power button that doubles as a fingerprint sensor is on the right. However, I feel like it's placed a bit too high for my fingers to reach. It's then joined by the volume rocker above, the loudspeaker and an IR blaster on the top, the second loudspeaker, SIM card tray, and USB-C port are located at the bottom. For added protection, the foldable gets an IPX9 rating for water resistance only. Now, for the headliner feature for sure, is that glorious 8.1-inch folding display. It's an LTPO AMOLED-paneled 120Hz refresh rate with 120Hz of dynamic refresh rate and an HDR peak brightness of 2100 nits. Of course, there's the 6.6-inch cover display that's also using an LTPO AMOLED panel with the same high refresh rate and 2450 nits of peak brightness. What we really like about the Find N5 is the minimal crease or lack thereof. Compared to other foldables out there, you can barely see the crease on the Find N5. And when you turn on the screen, the crease is practically gone. Well, almost. You can still feel the crease when you slide your finger across the screen. It also becomes visible when you tilt the phone at certain angles and in different lighting conditions. But when you're facing the screen directly, you may forget that crease even exists. As for visuals, both the phone screens provide an above-average viewing experience thanks to its vivid colors and deep blacks, as expected from AMOLED panels. The folding display also tends to reduce stubborn reflections, which is honestly nice for a screen this big. I definitely enjoyed playing music and watching content on the Find N5. It has dual stereo speakers and the audio output is great, offering a solid punch to the bass with clear mids and highs. It can get quite loud too, that's able to fill up a room with no distortion or whatnot. One nitpick we have is the nearly square aspect ratio of the folding screen. While it's great for multitasking with split screen or floating windows, it doesn't really lend itself well to watching video content, especially those with a cinematic aspect ratio. You're left with large black bars at the top and bottom of the screen, which feels a bit jarring. In fact, the writer of this review, JM, found himself preferring to watch the videos on the cover screen just to avoid that space altogether. Plus, the video doesn't even scale up any larger on the folding screen, so it kinda defeats the purpose here. For optics, the Find N5 features a triple camera setup led by a 50-megapixel main camera, an 8-megapixel ultra-wide, and another 50-megapixel sensor for periscope telephoto. All of these have OIS. Each screen has a selfie camera, both of which are 8-megapixel sensors. The image quality is mostly good, but it's nowhere near the flagships. In bright environments, the phone, especially with the main and telephoto sensors, capture great photos with sharp detail and fairly good dynamic range. The color reproduction is a bit inaccurate though, as it leans towards cooler tones using normal photo mode. Ultra-wide shots are decent, but they are often less sharp. LPs are also decent, though the auto-processing is a bit too much for my liking. Be the judge of it yourself with more of our sample shots right here. Shooting videos is a bliss. The phone can capture up to 4K at 60 frames per second, and the video output is great in most shooting conditions. You also have the freedom to easily switch between focal lenses during recording, something that isn't possible with other devices. Check out our sample videos right here to get a better look of how the N5 cameras perform. This is the OPPO Find N5 shooting at 4K at 30 frames per second, and this is what it looks like. So, what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments below. This is the OPPO Find N5's main rear camera shooting at 4K at 60 frames per second. So this is what it looks like. You can see how smooth it is. So let us know what you think in the comments below. This is the OPPO Find N5's selfie camera when you unfold the device. So it's right there in the corner of the screen. So what do you guys think? It's shooting at 4K at 30 frames per second. So let us know in the comments below if you like it. Under the hood, the OPPO Find N5 is equipped with the Snapdragon 8 Elite, Qualcomm's latest flagship chipset. Our unit comes with 16GB of RAM and 512GB of internal storage. However, the processor that powers this foldable has a 7-core configuration instead of 8, and the difference shows in the numbers. In our Antutu test, the OPPO Find N5 gets a measly 1.4 million score, which is far lower than the other devices running the chipset with an octa-core architecture. Despite the fact, it still managed to get good scores in other tests, especially in GPU scores in Geekbench and 3D Mark. You can see those scores right here. That said, these figures don't really reflect real-world use cases. During our time with the Find N5, the games we played ran smoothly. We mostly played Zenless Zone Zero, and we were able to max out the graphic settings with no stutters. It'll also do great for less demanding titles like Honor of Kings with ultra graphic settings playable at the highest frame rate. Temps rose a bit, but wasn't uncomfortably hot during our gaming sessions. On the software side, the OPPO Find N5 runs the ColorOS 15 based on Android 15. OPPO software has clearly drawn inspiration from iOS, especially with that control panel. Adding to that is the so-called Aqua Dynamics, which is OPPO's take on Apple's Dynamic Island. Nevertheless, the overall UI and animations look good and snappy, and there's minimal bloatware to see here. Even when opening or closing the device, whichever app you use on the cover screen will run just fine on the bigger folding screen. My one gripe so far goes back to OPPO's version of Dynamic Island. I do appreciate all the nifty live notifications that come with it, like the timer, delivery progress bars, etc. For music playback, however, it only supports Spotify. So if I'm gonna play a song, say on YouTube Music, there's no dynamic notification. On top of that, When switching to the folding screen, the live notification is still at the center, when in fact the camera notch is found on the left. Anyways, when it comes to the update policy, OPPO is promising up to 4 major updates and 5 years of security patches. Battery-wise, the Find N5 packs a 5600 mAh silicon carbon unit paired with 80 watt of wired and 50 watt of wireless charging. In our PC Mark battery life test, the Find N5 lasted 14 hours and 48 minutes. That's already a solid runtime, but it can go longer depending on how you use the phone. It lasted mostly an entire day of use with some juice left by nighttime. That included playing music on Spotify, watching YouTube content, and playing some matches on Honor of Kings and ZZZ. Either way, the phone quickly gets up to full charge in less than an hour through the Smart Rapid Charging feature enabled on the settings. The phone also supports reverse wireless charging, but when I tried the Find N5 to charge another device, it took too long to even add 1% of charge. In terms of connectivity, it has all the essentials including 5G, NFC with card reading capabilities, Wi-Fi 7, IR Blaster, and also supports eSIM. So, wrapping things up, the Find N5 is definitely a serious glow up for foldables. This thing's sleek, thin, and definitely feels like something you could actually use every day, just as you would with a regular smartphone. The displays are great, vibrant, smooth, and the crease, barely there. You still get that satisfying foldable experience without feeling like you're compromising on too much. But it's not perfect. The cameras are solid but not quite flagship level, and they could do with some improvements. At the end of the day, foldables are here to stay, and the OPPO Find N5 shows just how much potential they have to be a daily driver. Sadly, this foldable has yet to come in the Philippines. If you're wondering about the price, it's currently available in Singapore for 2,400 Singaporean dollars, or about 107k pesos in today's rates. But hey, what do you guys think of the OPPO Find N5? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you find this content helpful and informative, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon to be notified of our future uploads. Follow us on the socials and visit youtube.com for latest tech news and reviews. Once again, this has been CJ, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye! See you later!